Welcome to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with people in hip-hop culture, based out of New England. Leeds. What's going on, man?
Yeah, let me see. This meeting is being recorded. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Oh.
This is my first time on Zoom, so excuse my lack of skills.
All good?
Yeah. All gravy.
Well, thanks for making time. What time is it out there?
It's 8 in the evening.
Nice. So
Yeah.
it's 2 p.m., so it's like 7-hour difference.
Yeah. You're in Boston, right?
Yeah, Boston, Massachusetts.
Cool.
USA, baby. And,
nice.
And you are in Sweden, correct?
That's right. Borlänge or Bolange.
You're born and raised there. You're born and raised in Sweden, correct?
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, I haven't got anything to compare it with, but I mean, it's good. It's a good country to be raised in, and yeah, as I said, I don't have anything to compare it with. So,
what makes it good? What makes it a good country to live in?
I mean, open people, open-hearted people, kind people, basically, and access to a lot of culture, music. At least in my hometown, so it's like an industrial town with steel mills and paper mills. So it's like I like to compare it with Detroit City, basically like hard workers or the hard worker mentality. So, but we got a thriving like music scene. It's called, what do you call it? Like a music hub in Borlänge or Bolange. So I mean, it's I grown up in Borlänge. What is it, like 2 hours from Stockholm? So it's like a little bit south of the middle of Sweden. So small town, 60,000 people, and a lot of like rock music and some jazz music, and of course some hip hop.
You say some hip hop. Is there not a lot? I mean, you must have, from what I've done some research, it didn't seem to be a lot of hip hop in Sweden when you were figuring out your path.
Not really. I mean, it's in my hometown, it's been like, I mean, I had my clique, and as far as like earlier groups, it was like maybe one or two, but it was like more of like a rock rap fusion or something like that, not like pure boom bap or pure hip hop ish. It was more like some rock. I don't know the comparison with what do you say? Not like Rage Against the Machine, but something like it, so
yeah.
But post my breakthrough, it's been like maybe some like reggae rap or a fusion with reggae or something like that. But I mean, in Stockholm, it's a different story, because you have like the ones that rapped in Swedish. I basically never had a career in my native tongue, Swedish, so I went the English route more or less. But in Stockholm, it's more like you had Petter, a big. He's like the JC of Swedish hip hop. So, but he raps in Swedish, so it was more revolved around more like the Swedish language in the bigger cities. And as far as if you go up Sweden, you had Super Scientifico, that later went to Super Sci name wise, and Train Spotters. If you go up, and you had Bakers, so the Holy Bread. And the further you came, like up north, you had more English oriented rap groups and artists. So and of course Loop Troop Rockers, the biggest English oriented rap group from Sweden, basically Promo and Loop Troop. So yeah, and those are the ones that I really like looked up to basically, and I stayed out of the biggest cities and more like a rural hip hop head, I guess.
What made you want to decide to rap in English versus rapping in your native language?
Well, where I'm from, we have a funny accent, so
I can hear
I
it. It's
had
not,
to.
you know, where I'm from, we have a funny accent too. It's just so you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have like, yeah, you. It's not. I mean, of course, you can make music having that accent, but maybe not rap in particular. So it's like an accent that is made fun of. So me rapping in that accent wouldn't sound so, you know, good in my opinion. We had some my friends, they had a rap group for fun, and they rapped in our accent, and yeah, you know, if you take that path, you make fun of it, you own the accent, you can do it, but not if you want to make something, you know, make a career out of it. So and basically, you know, growing up, there weren't a lot of, prior to Petter, the big, you know, the most commercial rapper who broke through and paved the way for Swedish rappers in that sense, in the Swedish tongue. They were mostly like English oriented rappers. So a lot of those rappers paved the way for us and my generation. And when Petter broke through, he paved the way for the Swedish tongue rappers. So and as I said, I related more to the English oriented rappers basically. So and it's some sort of, you know, mashup, not so good accent, and looking up to English oriented rappers was basically my thing.
How did you learn it? How did you learn English?
Uh, well, we don't have dubbed like TV shows or movies in Sweden, as you have in France, and as you have in Germany and Switzerland, and the German speaking countries. So we have, like, you know, every movie that I watched growing up was in English, or uh, so I mean, when you go out touring, a lot of people that, you know, in Germany or Switzerland or Austria or wherever you're in France, uh, people have a hard time speaking English, or but you know, as a Swedish person, you speak fluently. So
Wow.
so yeah, it's good.
Do you speak any other languages besides Swedish and English?
If the ladies ask me, I speak French.
Speak French too?
No, I don't. I studied it in school, but you know, it was like Teflon. Just
Yeah. I only
so,
speak
but
one
nah,
language. I only speak one language. I tried a little Spanish. I
yeah,
was all right, but nothing serious.
yeah, okay.
You when I hear you rap, I hear an English accent. Like I don't
Okay.
hear a Swedish accent at all most of the time. I mean, I haven't heard every song, but the songs I've heard, I would not think that this was a Swedish accent at all. Is that
All
something
right, all right.
you practiced? I mean, how did you get how were you able to take your accent out of your rapping? Because how I hear you now is not how I hear you on the mic.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I think I went to English school in high school, or like a class, English class. So we had everything except Swedish, of course, in English. And I don't know, I just, you know, listened to a lot of rap music, and I think I had a good ear to what I heard in the rap music, and maybe adapted to that, because a lot of other classmates adapted like a English, you know, like a London
Yeah,
speaking accent or something like
yeah.
that. So it was probably because I was listening to a lot of New York rap, basically. So
Ah,
yeah, I think Atmosphere, the rapper Atmosphere, he was like watching clips from Swedish rappers, and then he heard me and he said that I sounded like some Midwest rapper. I don't know the meaning of that, but yeah,
Well, it would
Midwest.
mean it would mean you're from the Midwest of the United States, which is the United
Yeah.
States is big, so it's the middle of the
Okay.
United States.
All right. All right.
Generally a very rural area of the United States.
Okay.
Where I'm from is the East.
Yeah.
He's from the Midwest, and then there's the West Coast, which is like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's out there.
Yeah.
Many
Got it.
others.
Okay.
But there's a bit of an accent in the Midwest too, which is kind of mixed with United English and Canadian accent kind of come together a little bit.
Okay.
So that it's a little fused up there.
Yeah.
Was Atmosphere one of your influences as an artist? Inspiration?
Not really. I like that song "Guns and Cigarettes" a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I had a lot of friends who listened to Atmosphere
Yeah.
growing up. So, but I don't know why I didn't, just I didn't catch the vibe on those tracks. And but I mean, I think Slug is a great rapper. So of course,
Excellent.
storyteller and such. But I don't know, it didn't click with me. I don't know why.
What did click with you? What did
Lord.
you hear? What did you hear that made someone from Sweden? I'm just curious. What did you hear in the United States that made a guy from Sweden want to stop rapping in English and do it well? So you did it well. So I want to know what inspired you.
I mean, growing up, we were like four cousins living on the same street, and they were listening to. I had an older cousin. He listened to Tupac and West Side Connection and the West Coast rap, and I wasn't too fond of it. And then Wu-Tang came, and it was more my pocket, and it felt so raw and unpolished, and it was just, it hit me in the head, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And of course, emulating that style and trying to rap like them, and as a white kid in Sweden, it sounded like, it sounded terrible as a 15-year-old or 13, or I don't remember the age, but it just caught me like off guard. I thought that Tupac was too melodic. It didn't resonate with me or with the environment I was from, like the steel mills and paper mills and hardworking people. So the New York sound was like, so it felt like it was me in a sense. And I just embraced it. As far as style wise, and as a kid, you of course you try to emulate that and try to make something out of it yourself. But well, those first songs that we did, it was not something I'm gonna play for anyone.
Oh, bummer. Was it hard to write the raps in English in the beginning? Like, how hard was the process?
I mean, all we did was take their lyrics and just rebuild it and flip the words and stuff like that. So of course it was hard. I don't even think we understood what we were doing. So, but we just took it and I remember we wrote stories about, like, we rewrote from out their lyrics. We took it. I didn't have a computer, but my cousins had a computer, and they just they got the lyrics off of maybe the booklets or something like that, and we just sat on like this big ass computer and writing stories about rewriting it and making out, like segments and making our stories out of their lyrics, and just emulating our own stuff out of it. But yeah.
The name Prop Dylan.
Yeah.
Your name Prop Dylan. Where does that come from? Where did you get that name?
It comes from at first it was Pro P. It was professional pad. Then it came a rapper called Professor P, which is a friend of mine now. He came from the south of Sweden. He broke through. He was like, he was like the #1 battle rapper from Sweden. It was like Eminem. He was like, I think it was like 13, and he was winning all these competitions. So he broke through fast, and he was like, his name was Professor P. So, and he was shortening it to Pro P. So we had like, and I was like, damn, I need to come up with a new name. And a lot of kids in Borlänge, where I'm from, they are like into Bob Dylan. And when you, as a white kid in Borlänge, rapping back in the day, it was like, was frowned upon. So, and everybody was drinking red wine and listening to Bob Dylan. So I think it was at a party where we were like discussing different music genres, and all these rock dudes and pop dudes were like, "Oh, you doing? It's weird that you're doing rap music and stuff like that." So I got a little bit mad, and then I got home, and they listened to. I had this Pro P, which I couldn't use, so I just put it together, prop, and I knew these guys were listening to Bob Dylan, so I just put Dylan to mess with him and call myself Prop Dylan, and doing local shows. And I don't know if it had any impact on these pop rock dudes, but yeah, it stuck with me.
Well, I'm a big fan of Bob Dylan, and I
Yeah,
appreciate your name. So
yeah, well, that's good.
I grew up.
I like him
listening.
too.
I grew up listening to Bob Dylan because my mother was a huge fan. So she was playing Bob Dylan in the house as soon as I could remember. So
Yeah,
I'm a fan. You
nice.
kind of make a breakthrough. Your first album was a Garbage Pail Kid. Is that the correct? Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah. It
you
was the first solo album.
King Size Magazine said after listening to this album, you're Scandinavian's most gifted rapper.
Yeah,
That's quite the compliment for your first album.
I think it was. Yeah. But I think it's English oriented, like in English.
Right.
So yeah, it was quite a compliment, and this was when it was a physical magazine. Now it's
Yeah.
it's digital, of course.
Right.
But yeah, of course. And I've been, I mean, coming from outside of Stockholm. Stockholm has its own, of course, it's like New York or LA. I mean, a lot of artists come from Stockholm, and it's a lot of focus on hip hop in Stockholm, commercial and underground rap. So that's where the hub is. So coming from outside of that scene and getting that kind of, what do you say, like review from these German journalists was, of course, a big milestone. Uh, Dropping my first album. So yeah, of course, I was happy about that.
And some of your songs got into some snowboard films, correct? Like,
Yeah.
is that what I read? What was that? What was that process?
This must have been like the MySpace era. And you just put up the songs, sort of like Spotify now, like the top songs that people can see. And I just think it was like good timing. Some guys from the States were doing this edit, Poor Boys Productions. They were making some edit with big ass snowboard riders, and they were putting together this movie and put it out physically on DVD, and they wanted my track, Can You Imagine, on it. So we had a widespread in the snowboard community and the skate community, and that song landed in a whole lot of other, board movies and skateboard movies. And yeah, it was viral in a sense back in the day through like DVDs and whatnot, basically off of MySpace.
Pretty impressive for you to get that on your first,
Absolutely.
debut
Yeah.
album, to get put in place, especially back in then too, get placed in American movies and
Yeah.
and then have a compliment saying that you're one of the most gifted rappers in the area.
Yeah.
That's quite the
Absolutely.
confidence boost in the beginning of your career.
Yeah. but I think I had quite a confidence also coming up as a rapper, a battle rapper, I would say. Maybe,
Mm.
I mean, if I listen back to a lot of tracks, it's like, yeah, it's I wouldn't say I don't like that, but you know, certain like recording techniques that I learned along the way and how to make an album. Like my vision for the first album was like, oh, I need this producer and this producer, and like beats gotta sound like MOP, and here it gotta be more soft and blah blah blah. So it wasn't that balanced, and some songs, some vocals I learned later on was not even mixed and stuff like that. So it's trial
Even
and error,
better.
but
Even
yeah, I
better.
know, but yeah.
So you
Shout
were
out.
a battle rapper? Is that what I'm hearing? First? Is that how you
Yeah,
got good?
yeah. I never won a competition, but came to the quarterfinals and stuff like that. So I mean, when I say battle rapper, I mean in songs basically. But yeah, yeah, I also been in battle rap competitions and stuff like that. But I wasn't the best.
Gotcha.
Uh, I can
In
say that.
2000, in 2010, this is where I first hear of you. You link up with the legendary DJ Premier and you make
Yes.
Shock and Amaze.
Yeah.
And I saw the song. I go, who the heck is Prop Dylan? You know what I mean? Like, who
Yeah.
is this guy? Like, he's all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere from my perspective, and he's got a
Yeah.
song with DJ Premier, and it's dope.
Yeah.
Talk to me how that happened. That whole process happened.
Well, uh, it started with that I got an email from a DJ, a producer from Sweden, DJ Devastate. He died, I think, in 2019. He sent yeah, rest in peace, DJ Devastate. Um, but he sent like a email to, like, how you do, as you do, you send an email with a, you know you got a new album out or new single, whatever. But he forgot to put the, what do you call it, like the CC. He put you know all the email addresses out for everyone, every recipient to see. And on top was DD Premier. So I was like, yo, is this DD Premier? And I just copied the address and shot off a mail to him, to Primo. Of course, he didn't answer. So, but then, I got in contact with a American manager, and this manager, he had some contacts in the States and yada yada. He's promised me to, if I was giving him this amount of money, he would sort things out and blah blah blah. Nothing happened, and then some months went by, and I shut off a mail to Primo once again. Nothing happened, and I think it was called ICQ or some shit like that, like a chat program. And then I added him there, and then I wrote to him. And I remember I was playing NHL on Xbox, and I had a computer like standing beside me, and it just I heard this ding on the computer, which I never heard before. But and then I went in, and Primo had wrote me like, "Who's this?" And I just wrote, "This is Prop Dylan. I want to work with you." Blah blah blah. So he said, "Okay, send me some tracks," and I sent some tracks to him, and he liked it. So, and he said like, "Yeah, let's work." And I put my US manager in contact with his manager, and I said that I want to come to the States and record in headquarters, and he was down for it. So I went there in December 2010 to record with him. I was there in for maybe like 2-3 hours recording the song, and the day after we came back and listened to the mix, and I was satisfied. Did some arrangement for the intro, and it was a wrap, which is surreal today to have done that. I mean, it's 13 years ago, which is fucking insane. Excuse my
Well, you
French,
know how to
but
swear. You know how to swear in English. I see.
okay,
I take no offense. That's
sorry.
impressive, man. And
Yeah,
congrats to you on that, man, because that's not,
thank you.
that shows your talent, your ability, because he's not just going to work with anybody. And
Yeah, of course. But
you
I
got,
think I caught him in a good time, and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
open for it, and I had a it was I had uh, you know struck a gold vein basically, uh, and I milked the whole thing, and I don't think there's a lot of European cats. I know Soul Cost from France has recorded with him,
Yep.
but I don't know if he went to the studio or not. But even so, it doesn't matter. I don't think a lot of European acts has been in headquarters, and headquarters is
Not,
not even.
yeah.
Sorry.
Gangstar's early success was actually in Europe, where
Yeah.
um, the music actually caught on out there more
Okay.
quickly than it did in the United States. From what I've heard and read, they
Okay.
had a lot of people in Europe backing them, liking the sound because it was resonating more. A lot of the Jazzmatazz albums Guru even made, I remember him
Oh
saying
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
very European, very European. Volume 2 in particular was a very European made album. So
Okay.
they benefited. I think they worked with there were some like certain artists I saw them early in their career. I don't know if they went to headquarters though, but
Yeah,
they definitely didn't because it was D&D back then, but I don't know. But
yeah.
anyways, there was always Gangstar always had, and Primo and Guru always were connected to Europe in some form,
Okay. Cool.
whether it was working with artists or touring or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I know that he worked with a Swedish artist, Nene Cherry, actually.
Yep, yep,
Maybe that was early 90s,
yep. I
some
didn't know she
back
was
then.
Swedish. I didn't know she was Swedish.
I'm not sure either, but maybe she for
Well,
sure
she
lived in Sweden though.
well, yeah. I mean, if if uh if her accent's as good as yours, I couldn't tell. You guys are doing
But
well.
yeah, I think she got some kind of Swedish connection, because I made a like an interview with a big newspaper, the biggest newspaper in Sweden, called Aftonbladet, and they made this headline that I was the first Swedish artist to work with Didi Premier, and they picked that headline, and I got a lot of backlash for it, because people who know more obviously than me, and the music journalists who interviewed
Well,
me.
she's also
Uh,
in your defense, she's R&B. You're
sure,
rap.
yeah, yeah. I
So,
know.
I mean, she does the one song that they produced for her. She kind of is rapping, but she's actually more known for being an R&B singer, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I remember
Um,
I talked to Primo about it, and he was like, "Yeah, well, I don't count it as that." So, but
yeah, she's like a
some
singer
people,
songwriter. Yeah, Nina Cherry is a Swedish British singer songwriter.
yeah,
Interesting. I didn't know that she had the European background. The accent doesn't sound like it, but you
yeah,
guys do
but
good well with the You guys do well with the American accents. So,
but she
so
has I think she's related to Eagle Eye Cherry. You heard of him?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I
He had
think
a
I
big
think
hit in
they're
the '90s.
yeah. I think they related in some way.
No, I
Don't
know. I think
quote me on.
Gangstar worked with French rapper Solar, not the producer,
Yeah,
MC Solar.
yeah.
They worked with another European group, Marksman.
Okay.
Um, Subsonic, I want to say was it Subsonic 2 or Subsonic, something along that level.
All right.
Um,
All right.
Soulcast. There was a bunch. Um,
Yeah.
there was a bunch.
Yeah. German rapper. What's his name? Bushido.
Yep.
I think, or maybe he's French. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyhow.
there's ties.
Yeah.
So this song ends up doing really well for you. It must have launched you into another level, right? Like doing a song with DJ Premier, you leveled up. must have leveled up pretty good when that came out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially as I said before, I mean, not coming from Stockholm, it opened up a lot of doors, like, you know, management wise, or just the conversation wise, or that quality mark. I mean, a lot of artists in Stockholm were back then also very commercial, but was like a quality stamp. Like, okay, this kid is from a small town in Sweden, but he still works with Primo. So my mindset was not to go via Stockholm to make it. My mindset was go to New York, just take that leap and jump over Stockholm in some sense. So it's basically like coming from it's like 2 hours from Stockholm, where I live in Borlänge. So we have like a, what do you call it? Like a small town. What do you call it? Not a complex, but like a lot of people moved to Stockholm. I didn't. I've been living outside of Stockholm, but I didn't move to Stockholm just to make it. I wanted to stay around here to make it in a sense. So people looked at it as that when I went to New York, and then I was accepted in the hip hop scene in Stockholm ish. So, of course, it launched me to new places, and maybe got a little bit more respect than I had before, and stuff like that. So,
I would imagine.
Of course.
So then you put out your third album, Cardinal Sin. You also have, obviously the DJ Premier joint, but you also get Talib Kweli and Dilated Peoples on there.
Of course, of course. Of course,
Again.
in that sense, yeah, no doubt. I see where you're going. I wasn't thinking in that, but I've shared stages with Talib Kweli. Went on tour with him through Scandinavia. So, my focus has always been on live shows. Toured a lot. I made up against, I think it's almost 600 live shows through the years.
Saw that.
And all over, like Middle East, like Israel, Palestine, Connecticut. I was played with Rakim in 2016, and so I mean, I've been all over the place. And you run into people and drink beer with people and share backstage, and some people are, able to connect with. Some are not. Some are untouchable. But if you meet people like 5-6 times, it's of course you're gonna have some kind of relation with them, or you're like, oh, that's you again, blah blah blah, despite the hip hop hierarchy and stuff like that. So, and so sometimes you fix stuff for someone if they come to your hometown and stuff like that, set up stuff, and yeah. So it's not only because of Primo that I have these kind of dilated evidence and Raka on the album, but of course it made it easier. Absolutely. So
you said you did 600 shows. That's just a lot of shows. That's a lot of shows all over. What was it? Europe, Asia, Central, and North America.
Yep.
Tell me do you have any particular cities or countries that rank experiences that stand out more than others?
I mean, Switzerland, I see it as the Mecca of European hip hop.
Switzerland.
Switzerland is like, back in the day, it was like around 2008, 2009, maybe up until 2013, 14. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people, it's a small country and it's easy to tour in, and they have a lot of money. And so, I mean, a lot of US acts and European acts go there and play there, and it's Central Europe. So it's easy accessible to Austria and south of Germany or middle of Germany. And, but I mean, the people in Switzerland is always hungry for hip hop. Packed clubs, packed festivals, and yeah, they love the real hip hop. So, but of course everything gets commercialized and festivals get more commercialized and stuff like that. But my experience with doing shows through the years has been Switzerland has always been incredibly supportive and bringing me back and bringing US acts back and other European acts back. So yeah.
Are you
It's been
booking
some
your own
while.
shows? Are you booking your own shows, or do you have an agent?
I have agents, different agents for different regions, and we also do our bookings ourselves. So it's like maybe up to 3-4 booking agents, depending on the areas. So
Interesting.
and depending on the what do you call it, like the extent of the tour. Is it like 2 or 3 shows? Then maybe we do it ourselves and the label. So or if it's longer tours or more work, if you need a tour manager, you can have like a booking agency that fix that. So it always depends on the extent
And
of the tour.
and out there in Europe, right? You have to
Mhm.
your sets are longer than here in the States. You're doing an hour, right? An hour and a half.
Yeah, no doubt. So, okay, so the sets are shorter in the States.
Oh yeah, you used to
I had
hear
no
all the
idea.
complaints. You used to hear complaints about that because American artists would go overseas and they'd be like, "Dude, I got to perform for like an hour and a half, like 2 hours," and they were like, "I'm not used to that. I'm used to doing an hour,
Yeah.
or less." Some artists that don't have a catalog, they do a half hour and get away with that in the
Okay.
United States. But in Europe, it's like that's apparently not the case. Correct? How long are you doing?
It depends. I mean, if you have a long lineup, if like 4 or 5 acts, maybe you do like 45 minutes, but that's
Right.
short.
Still,
That's short.
it's for
That's
45
40,
minutes
yeah.
for a support act
Yeah.
is out here, support act in the United States, 15
Yeah,
minutes, sometimes even less.
15 minutes. Okay. That's like 2 songs, 3 songs,
Uh,
basically. That's
Pretty
crazy.
much.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm a headliner at a festival, maybe I do hour and a half easily.
That's yeah, headliner hour and a half.
Including, yeah, no doubt. And I mean, if club gigs 1 hour, maybe something like that. So that's
Cool.
basically standard.
Nice.
But it's fun. It's fun.
Good. Good. I'm glad it's fun. The other album you put out, Bushido Code. Am I pronouncing that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Now, Paulo Brown did a lot of production on this one, correct?
Yeah, he did. I think he did 10 tracks out of 14.
So
I
I actually interviewed Apollo Brown last week, and
Okay.
he talks about when he does albums with people, he gets in the studio with them. Did you fly out to Detroit for that?
No, I didn't.
Oh wow! So there's an exception to the rule.
Yeah, but the exception to the rule is COVID, of course. But
Ah,
we didn't have a discussion about me coming over to Detroit to record all the tracks because it wasn't a full Apollo Brown album. He produced 10
ah,
tracks and it was 4. I produced I think I produced 3 of the remaining tracks, and DJ Connect did another track. So it wasn't a full album by Apollo Brown. He produced 10 tracks, which is a lot though. But
yeah.
I think it was like right in the beginning of I dropped To Whom It May Concern album after the Cardinal Sin, and I was touring with that album the whole of 2019. And then I got back in December and I started to work on or planning the Apollo Brown produced album. Um, and it was like I think it was beginning of 2020 and COVID hit.
Mm.
So it was like in my mind, and I was talking to a guy who makes my music videos about going to Detroit and record with Elsai, who's on the Bushido Code album, and possibly record with Apollo. But this was only talks, like in the team or whatever you call it. So it wasn't I hadn't started the discussions with or asked Apollo or asked Elsai about it. But I mean, and then COVID hit, and it was yeah. I basically worked on that album and he was sending me beats, and I was picking beats and being a little bit of a pain in the ass for him.
You'd be too picky. You're being too picky.
I wouldn't say I was too picky, but you know, I had a vision, and certain beats didn't, you know, fit my. It was dope beats as hell, so of course, but it didn't fit my you know, overall scheme of the whole concept of the album. So
Yeah, yeah.
like I don't like. I mean, of course, every to untrained ear, everything sounds alike when it comes to boom bap and stuff like that. But for me, it's different songs and different themes and different outcomes of the song. So for me to have like a full, you know, spectrum of songs, it has to be different in my mind. So
I get that. I respect that.
yeah, but I mean, in my point of view, it turned out really good. So sometimes you gotta be a pain in the ass.
Well, I mean, you gotta stick to your vision. I mean, I produce albums too, and like, you know, when you get those when you get the concepts in your head,
yeah,
you're looking for a particular sound, you know,
yeah,
and you know, the dope. You're right. I've you know, I've listened to many dope beats that didn't fit my concept. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like I get that. You know, it's hard when it's a, you know, established producer and he's like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? You gotta tell him
yeah.
like, yo, like this one, I don't know, because you don't want to, you know, you don't want to screw up the
Of
relationship.
course, of course.
But
And I was nervous by sending those emails, or you know,
yeah,
writing them on Instagram or something like that. I was nervous, of course. I was like,
I don't
oh,
think he
hopefully,
has any. I don't think he has any issues getting rid of any beats. I
and
don't
of
think.
course, not, of
No,
course
like
not. But I was
you
nervous.
said no, if you said no, there's 10 other people that are ready to take it.
Yeah,
So I don't think he should get
no
that
doubt.
mad.
Of course, but you know, I think at one point he just said like, "Yo, you gotta pick some of these," and I was
Oh,
like, "Oh no," but one more batch, and he's a good guy. I love him, and he was just okay, one more, and he sent off a batch, and it was a wrap, basically. So, you know,
I like that.
yeah,
I
that's
want to talk about this new one you put out, Gemini Twins,
yeah,
with Mr. Noun. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Oh, look at that vinyl right there. That's nice.
Yeah, it is
Nice. I like that. I like that.
nice.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
I'm envious of that. I wish I had some vinyl right now.
yeah. It's expensive to press vinyl. It's
I
crazy.
heard that.
Yeah, with all, you know, the not chemicals. I don't know what you call it, but you know,
Wax.
everything is so crazy
Vinyl.
expensive.
It's made out of vinyl, and it's a
Yeah,
very harsh working condition too. So
yeah.
it's not ideal working environment. I'll say that.
Okay. All right.
Because you
That's
know,
nuts.
it's factory chemicals and all that other good stuff that goes
Yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
it. It's not ideal. But
Jesus.
talk to me about making this album.
Yeah, it was it's me and Mr. Noun. Mr. Noun is from Super Scientifical, up north Sweden, legendary group, like, you know, jazz influenced hip hop, and they're like the pioneers for English hip hop. So I mentioned them earlier, but we have some, you know, collaborations under the belt, and during the pandemic, we just said like, let's do some more collaborations. One thing led to another, and we had like 4 tracks. He came down here during the pandemic. We don't have in Sweden. We didn't have as restricted as the rest of the world, so he could come here to my studio, and we just worked on some tracks. And you know, we just said like, let's make an EP and put it out, like as Prop Dylan and Mr. Noun, produced entirely by me. And then as the pandemic, you know, progressed, and he came down here and we had some more sessions, and one thing led to another, and boom, bada bing, we had an album, basically. And A1 is on it, from A1 and Phonics.
Yep, dope.
Elsai is on it, rapper
Dope.
KC is on it, Black Fist is on it, Remedy, who's also from Super Sci, is on it. We got producers Execute, Tessellate Beats, Scientific, and US producer Homage Beats. So it's like, yeah, I mean, the response has been overwhelming. I mean, as you know, this is a new project, completely new. So it's just, yeah, I mean, the collaborations has been really good through the years, and what we could, make out of our separate corners. I make more like soulful hip hop. They make more like jazz. I think the fusion has been really good. So yeah,
That's great.
it's out.
So
Listen to it.
yes, it's out now. Gemini Twins out now. Your production now, I didn't realize how much production you were doing. This setup in yours, this is obviously the production studio.
Yeah.
Can we get a look of view? Are you able to move the camera at all?
Yeah.
Working with it? There we go. All right.
There we go.
Got the MPC. It's got the MPC
Renaissance.
right.
Yeah. Such bad lighting in here, so
it's all right. We got the gist of it. I see some
Yeah.
keyboards in the back over there. And
yes, sir.
so looks like you sample and play.
Yeah, of course. It's a blend of it all.
Nice. What program are you using?
I'm producing beats in MPC Renaissance, so it's the software that comes with the MPC and Logic. I mean, that's basically it. I try to keep it simple as that. So, but yeah, I picked up like production 100% like beat making maybe 10 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
So I just, I have no sitting down learning like I have an MPC 4000 right here too, but yeah,
Nice.
I can't flip the laptop. Yeah. So, but I mean, it just stands here looking good because, I don't have I wouldn't say I don't have the time, but I don't have the, focus to sit and learn like analog MPC. I'd rather work with a MPC Renaissance, so has the software so you can, work. I have a different workflow than sitting working on an analog MPC. So it's perfect for me basically to, have the software and the hardware. That's a perfect combination for me. So yeah, basically I've been producing for 10 years, but I've been for other albums, basically the executive producer sitting besides the producer or engineer. So that's how I learned it basically. So then I felt confident enough to buy an MPC and start producing myself. And here we are.
And here we are. Well, we're going to wrap up soon. Is there anything in the new you want to plug or anything you want to talk about or anything else I missed?
Not really. I think you got it all. You nailed it.
Nice, man. Well, I really appreciate your time, man. And it's good to, good to see you. I've seen your progress since I've heard of you, and I'm glad you're keeping it going, man. You're making good hip hop over there, and congrats to you, man.
Thank you.
Your success.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, and I hope to make it to Boston someday for a 1-hour show.
There you go. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Leedz Edutainment Podcast. Check out some of our other interviews on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Prop Dylan, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Peace out.
Take care. Peace.